There is some property on Farmington Avenue, the old Walmart building. I'd like to know what ideas you have for filling that area up with something that is useful to the community.
Start with Mayor Stewart, I believe.
The Walmart property, unfortunately, the business had closed for several reasons, and those jobs went elsewhere. Contrary to what someone was reported in the public, everybody was offered alternative jobs in other stores throughout the region. That particular property is still owned by them. They will pay taxes on that property. The taxation that we lose in the community because of that being an empty facility really is on some of the goods that they have within that facility. It's a pretty small amount. So the building itself still exists and will be a taxable property. We have, through Bill Carroll, who is my Municipal Economic Development Authority director, he works directly for me, we've had several outreach with several headhunting groups, if you will, that do locator services for retail outlets, because it's a retail facility. There's no doubt that it needs to be a retail facility because of what its previous uses were. Tough to put any sort of a grocery store type use in there because you have one next door in Aldi's. So you'd have to look to do something in a different scale within that building. Walmart, I believe that facility for them, according to my discussions with them, was that that's one of their oddball stores, if you will, meaning that it doesn't fit their mold. It's smaller than any of their other stores. It was not operated in that same manner, which is why it wasn't as profitable as it could have been. And I think that was much of the rationale for their closing. But that particular property is in a major thoroughfare that has a high traffic volume, and there could be some additional uses, but I would say primarily it would be a commercial or retail use for that property. So we're trying to make some outreach, but I will tell you, the city, while we do what we can to try to fill empty buildings, all these buildings are owned, like the Shaw's property, they're owned by private owners that continue to pay taxation to the city. So it's really incumbent upon them more so than us to fill those buildings. We try what we can and bring people to the table on a regular basis to these vacant properties, but we're not always successful.
May I just add that the Aldi store is less than adequate, and that we really need a real grocery store, such as, either Big Y or Stop and Shop or Stop and Save or any of the other ones, because that one is, in my opinion, is pretty low on the scale.
Aldi's has a different model, if you will, than most stores.
Yeah.
It's very different. There's no question about it. But they're branching out in a lot of different areas of a lot of communities here in Connecticut. It's a German-run organization. They brought that model here to the United States several years ago and started running them all over the place. But yeah, I do agree with you. I mean, we were able to be successful in the old Stop and Shop building on Columbus Boulevard several years ago because Stop and Shop has a history of tying up properties for 20, 30 years in order to prohibit any competition in their world, so to speak. And we were able to convince them that another supermarket for the East End, which vinyl was necessary because they had lost the other one that was in the other end of town on Newington Avenue, and that's how we got priced right in here.
I have one last question, and it has to do with the Board of Ed. I was a para here many years ago, and I finished my bachelor's due to the program that we had as paras in order to continue your education, and they would give a reimbursement. I'm just wondering if anything that's been continued since I'm working in West Hartford now. But I would also like to know if a para had finished her degree, her bachelor's, is New Britain doing anything to help them get certification or a master's program to help them with that?
Sharon, you got that answer?
I was hoping Paul would take it.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not that...
I'm going to turn to Pat because I don't have the contract memorized, Pat, so...
The answer is no.
A short answer?
Yeah, they're not doing anything along those lines.
And I would say then from a board's perspective, the next time we go into contract negotiations, that would be something the union would need to put on the table, and that would be part of the contract discussions.
tell you though, from my experience at the board, I know some of the paras that actually took advantage of the educational opportunities are well positioned to become teachers in the district because of your experience with people that already work here and with the administration, and that's a great thing.
And I'd like to give Representative O'Brien a chance, because I see you shaking your head and not getting a chance. Go ahead.
Sure. The two questions, I think, of course, we need to make sure that we have professional development for paras, and I think that that's an important part. As in the state level, we've had a number of programs where the number of areas we are trying to promote what are called career ladders that help people, and whatever we can do that is plausible, we should make sure that we're putting in professional development in the contracts, that we're providing that opportunity for people. We want the people who work in our school system to be able to reach for whatever training that they can achieve. It improves the quality of the school system. It improves opportunities for them as individuals, and so I think it's important. As far as the Walmart site goes, certainly would continue the work that the mayor has had to look for a new tenant for that site, trying to attract somebody. I think that we ought, being careful to make sure that it's the proper fit, ought to look at shopping centers as a possible option. We should also work on seeing if it's possible to help people here locally to set up a franchise that might be able to go in there. We should have a lot of different possibilities that we consider to be able to fill that spot. You know, and if it might be an opportunity for people here locally to be able to be local business owners, then that would be really nice too. But the important thing is to be able to make sure that plaza is really up and running and continues to be a vital place for the northern end of our city.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience